The Locked On Podcast Network presents the NBA Big 3 in 30. The 3 biggest stories in the NBA from our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. We bring you the real story, why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 30 minutes. The NBA Big 3 in 30 starts now with the biggest story in the NBA.
Donovan Mitchell could not miss. No first place for Boston. The winner of this game would have had first place. So, the winner of this game does have first place. It's the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Celtics would have had it if they'd won. Now they're a game and a half behind. Okay, December 2nd right now. Don't care much about the standings. First place still would have been nice. NBA belt still would have been nice. We'll talk about Drew Peterson later, that he went from top story to end of the show because of how this game ended. Let's talk about how the Celtics, there's a lot of Cleveland heavy stuff here because first of all, they won. The math flipped, but let's just get this out of the way. Donovan Mitchell's fourth quarter was incredible. Hey, today's show, by the way, brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. Place a $5 bet. If it wins, you get $150 in bonus bets. That's if your first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Donovan Mitchell had 20 points in the fourth quarter. He hit all 6 of the shots that he took. 4 of those were threes, another 4 free throws. And that was the difference in this game. The Cavs put up 43 points in the fourth quarter to Boston's 27. This is, I'm going out of order. I have my graphic. If you're listening, you don't care because you don't see a graphic. But when you're watching, you see a graphic over here on my left. I'm going to go a little bit out of order because I wasn't sure how my brain would work. But this is where I talk about the math being flipped, partly. And I'll get back to the other part of it in a second. But 9 3-pointers, a piece for the Celtics and the Cavs. Celtics were 2 of 9. Cavs were 6 of 9. So right away, the Celtics did not have this math advantage that they have worked for all year long. They took 49 threes overall, and the Cavs took 36, but they both made 17. So the Celtics got no 3-point advantage in this game. And points in the paint, the Cavs had 40, the Celtics had 24. For a while, it was a little bit closer. The Celtics just they weren't able to pull off a lot of these margin advantages, these math advantages that they've had all season long. No Jaylen Brown, that hurts. No Derek White, that really hurts. Because those are guys obviously you can count on to not only score and punish the Cavs and punish some of those mismatches, but also to defend. The Celtics had to rely on closing lineups that included Drew Peterson. Sam Hauser was out there. And to their credit, they both played well. The defense wasn't really that much of an issue, except you let Donovan Mitchell go off for 24th quarter points. Would have been great if they could have challenged a couple of those shots. Now, he did get those kind of like in the flow of things. I think this game turned when Jason Tatum got back into the game. Actually, he'd been the reason why they were going off, or one of the main reasons why they were going off. He was a huge reason in that third quarter. He played the whole third quarter, scored 17 points, was a monster through 3 quarters. But then in the fourth quarter, he comes back in, and the Celtics offense kind of stagnates. They're attacking mismatches again. They slow down a little too much. I think they might have been playing the clock game a little too soon. They got away from the ball movement a little too soon. So things started to stagnate. When they missed, when they got cold, the Cavs were running, and the Cavs got these 3-pointers, a lot of 3-pointers in transition, a lot of 3-pointers when the Celtics were cross-matched and making mistakes. So Mitchell gets to step into some shots that if the Celtics were whole, maybe Jaylen Brown is up on Mitchell and making it tougher rather than Sam Hauser, because Jaylen is bigger and more athletic and can maybe make it a little bit more uncomfortable. And all the Celtics needed was for Mitchell to, instead of going 6 for 6 in the fourth quarter, maybe go 4 for 6 or even 5 for 6. If one of those misses, maybe the Celtics can turn around and get something in transition. And that's enough to make it, instead of 115, 111, maybe it goes the other way, 115, 111, and Boston wins. So my number one thing is I'm not going to overreact to this win by Cleveland. It's not the end of the world. Like I said, it would have been nice to have first place, but okay, not a big deal, right? Cleveland, they played really, really hard. They're at home. Donovan Mitchell goes off. He's the captain of the Celtics killing team. He always has big fourth quarters against Boston. You got to know what's coming. And what can you do? Dude was great. And the Cavs came out and they, I give them all the credit in the world. Like they won this game. I could look at some things the Celtics could have done differently, but also Al Horford had 2 wide open corner 3-pointers. If he hits one of those, then maybe Mitchell doesn't get one of those other shots. There's Sam Hauser had a wide open 3 that missed. Guys had shots that missed. They had good looks that they really would like and would not trade. And I'm not even going to sit here and say, that was a good look, but they could have gotten better looks. They did generate some good looks that they missed. The Cavs hit. They made some great plays. They won that game. They deserve to win that game. And I don't come away from that thinking like there's any sort of regret for Boston. Although I will say that the Cavs come out of this with some confidence, and they come out of it with at least a feeling like I'm big on not letting results of the games, a win or a loss, color the analysis of the game. However, for the Cavs, the win was important. Not only had they just lost a couple in a row to the Hawks and they were kind of hungry for a win, they got knocked out of the NBA Cup, which, may matter to some people, but they were looking at this Celtics game as they wanted to get back on track. It was their first losing streak of the season. And just they want what Boston has. They want what the Celtics have achieved. They want to win a championship. And I've said it many times, the Cavs came into this season very similar to how Boston came into last season, with a ton of questions, player questions, coaching questions. Can they do this? Types of questions. A lot of the same things that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown faced as teammates, that Joe Mazzulla faced as a coach, that, Donovan Mitchell faced some of that same criticism that Tatum did. The Mitchell and Darius Garland stuff, somewhat similar to Jason and Jaylen, that can they play together stuff. Kenny Atkinson as a new coach, is he a great coach, or is he just a great coach for a young team? Like all of those questions are things that the Cavs are trying to answer. The Celtics had somewhat similar questions last season, and they answered them in the best way possible. So the Cavs see the Celtics as a measuring stick. They see the Celtics as having what they want. And a win, more than anything, as much as they can take this and go to the film session and say, oh yeah, we take all these positives out, winning reinforces the lessons. Winning reinforces the things that they're trying to do. And so this gives them a lot of confidence. Are they a challenger to the Celtics? Yes. And a win like this over Boston makes it a little bit tougher, makes that next game a lot more confident for them, and makes it a little tougher for Boston.
Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. You could take an early look at some Thanksgiving football lines. The Lions are massive favorites in their first game of the day against the Bears. FanDuel has Detroit laying 10.5. I kind of like the Bears. Is that weird? FanDuel also doesn't feel like Caleb Williams and company will putting up a lot of points. The Bears total over-under set at 18.5. I might take the over and the Bears to cover. But I can get some nice plus odds on that. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
You are Locked On Rockets Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Houston on the Locked On Podcast Network.
So the Rockets tonight, I mean, from the jump, the energy was fantastic. Now, I always like to bring that up because I think that when we evaluate basketball games or professional teams at times, professional athletes, it's like, oh, well, they played with great energy tonight. Well, of course, they're supposed to do that. They play a professional sport for a living, and they're not like you and I where we have regular jobs. It's not that it's easy. Their job's not easy by any means, but they're playing the kids' games that we all played growing up and did for free and would do for free. But there is something to getting up for games on a nightly basis. And there has been so much of that this season. They get up every night. Now, again, like I've talked about before, that's easy when you are a team full of young 20s with some veterans mixed in. But tonight it was the veterans that in the clutch stood out the most. Fred VanVleet, stand up and take a bow, sir. Best night of the season. 38 points, 9 of 13 from 3, 10 of 19 from the field, 13 of 14 from the free throw line, 3 assists, 2 rebounds, only turned the ball over once. Of course, the assist number not huge like we're used to seeing at times for Fred, but he stepped up so clutch throughout the night when they needed him to. This basketball game was really, and then Dylan Brooks as well. I can't forget Dylan Brooks. Hits a big clutch shot there down the stretch. Had a bunch of clutch moments on both ends of the floor throughout the back half of that basketball game. You know, play-wise, he continues to, when you watch him, you realize that he is a guy that you love, both those guys that you love having on your team. I mean, it is about as fitting as it gets for the Rockets to win in that style tonight. And to have Fred and to have Dylan be probably the two biggest catalysts down the stretch for the Rockets getting that victory. And they are the two guys that were brought in from the outside that were viewed as the guys that are going to help this group grow and help this group get to their next level. And that's what those guys helped the Rockets do tonight. This story of this basketball game, you know, first quarter, I thought it was everything you could add. I mean, it's really just a highly competitive back and forth, both first and second quarter. I mean, two teams going at it, two teams with some young cores, two teams that are probably going to be hanging around in the Western Conference for some time contending. And they just went out there and made basketball fun. That's my favorite part about all this is that, you know, I've talked about that a few times on this show. I am, and I know that you guys have heard it before. You know, it's been a long time since we've had fun. And that's what you're getting again. You can send in your comments, by the way. We're going to highlight a comment right here live on the show right now because we're going to clown all over it. From DJ Mill, who says, what statement? OKC didn't have Chet. Okay, cool. That's not the Rockets' fault. Guess what they have to do? Go out and make a statement at home, and that's what they did. Sorry that the Oklahoma City Thunder lost tonight, and the Rockets won. It's a statement. This is a team that believes and is playing like that and played hard throughout the night and took every punch that Oklahoma City threw at them and punched right back. There's nothing wrong with saying that there's a statement made tonight because there is a statement because this isn't about the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's a statement about the Rockets. That's the statement tonight. The statement is this team is actually good. This team is actually going to be a team that can stay top half of the Western Conference playoff standings. That's how they've played. And we're getting far enough into the season now at what's their the Rockets record now is. I just want to make sure I have it exactly right. Forget off the top. I have 15-6. Oklahoma City's 15-5. The Rockets are 21 games into the season. 21 games is a good sample size of an 82 game season now. Full believer right here. Full believer. Now, if you sat me down and said, are they a championship contender? No, they're not there yet. But they can play into the Western Conference playoffs, and they can win a first-round playoff game based off what I've seen. So, first-round playoff series right now based off of what I've seen. No reason why they couldn't. They'd be matching up against a team that's worse than them based on the way that they're playing right now. There's a long way to go before that. Long way to go. But I think that, again, every single night that this keeps happening, where they go out and they play great on the defensive end. And, there were stretches tonight where it wasn't so great. I mean, look, the third quarter, the Thunder just basically went in there and dominated the paint in the third quarter. I think they had either 18 or 20 points in the paint in the third quarter alone at OKC. That was a problem. Isaiah Hartenstein got his he wanted to make sure that his presence was felt tonight. And he made sure it was felt tonight. In a place that he was drafted to years ago. But they overcame all that. They found a way to, again, overcome and do their thing and walk out of there with the win. And then make the clutch shots at the end. Like, it was still tight. So you have to go out there and execute that. And they get clutch shots from Fred. I mean, they get clutch shots all over the place. They get big moments from Dylan. They get big moments from Alpy down the stretch, too. I mean, like, all the main characters that need to do it in those biggest of moments, they did it. They did it tonight for this Houston Rockets team. And that's why they're walking out at the Toyota Center tonight, feeling good about it. I did see the post-game interview there real quick for Fred VanVleet on the television broadcast, and he was asked about, how great was this to get a win against the number 1 seed Oklahoma City Thunder, and he goes, that doesn't count in December. Which, player standpoint, when I say statement made, that's a fan thing. The team and Ime Udoka's not going, you're not walking around, chest puffed out, acting like they're the new big, walking around letting them hang, Sam Cassell style. They're going to be way more humble about this. They've earned nothing. Absolutely nothing. But for me and for you as the fans of this basketball team, heck yes, you can sit here and say, statement made. Heck yes, you can sit here and say, you know what, chest out a little bit. Because, again, the 30,000-foot view on the Rockets has been, from everybody that doesn't watch them, it's a good basket, or it's a team with a young core. Like, maybe they're going to be better. Blah, blah, blah. They're not going to watch. Now people are going to have to go, whoa, I'm going to have to watch that basketball team. Maybe, maybe just maybe they're actually legit. Yeah, that's what you're getting right now from this Houston Rockets team. Another one of those nights.
Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. You could take an early look at some Thanksgiving football lines. The Lions are massive favorites in their first game of the day against the Bears. FanDuel has Detroit laying 10.5. I kind of like the Bears. Is that weird? FanDuel also doesn't feel like Caleb Williams and company will put up a lot of points. The Bears total over-under set at 18.5. I might take the over and the Bears to cover. I bet I can get some nice plus odds on that. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
the Spurs, well, they just dethroned the Kings in Sacramento.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast.
Oh, the Spurs got a W. Welcome back, Raul.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
By the way, happy Thanksgiving. I didn't get to tell you that a few days ago, so
Yeah.
I hope you had a good one, man.
Yeah, I did. It was relaxing.
All right.
That was good.
Yeah, it's good. That's good. Yeah. I had to invest in new sweatpants afterwards because that belt ain't fitting that great anymore. I ventured into a fifth plate. Bad idea. Bad idea. I was like halfway done and I was just curled up on my cousin's couch. Like, what did I do? What did I do? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. By the way, I already did my 2-3 days of leftovers. I'm done with Thanksgiving meals. Okay, for a while. Make sure to follow him on X at Dominguez5. You see it on your screen. Again, he is the AP Sports writer based in San Antonio. Well, the Spurs did it again. Just clawed back from a deficit, beating Sacramento 127-125. Obviously, a big night from Wemby. More on him later. Vassell, I know you're going to talk about him later on the show, but I got to start with Wemby. Wemby just being Wemby again. Third career triple-double. He finished with, I got it here, 34 points, 14 rebounds, and 11 assists. He did all that in 36 minutes. Great. Good job, Wemby. We expect that from you, right? But know what I really liked about it, Roll? He was actually being aggressive, going to the lane, going to the rim, seeing a guy like Malik Monk on him and say, you know what? Oh, I'm only 7'4" and tower above him. I get to take this easy to the paint. And you saw that a couple of times. He had like a George Gervin finger roll in one of his post moves to the rim, getting aggressive. Raul, he has that every night if the Spurs put him in that situation. If Chris Paul directs the traffic and says, oh, okay, I'm making this up. Malik Monk is on you. Go for it, Wemby. We're gonna have a clear out for you. Dylan Brooks is on you. Go for it. I like where this is going, Raul. I like seeing him being aggressive, going to the paint, not completely relying on the three, although he was a little bit of that versus the Kings. But your thoughts on him being aggressive, going to the lane?
Yeah, he's definitely doing. Then there was one point I think De'Aaron Fox was on him, and as soon as De'Aaron was on him, he set up in the paint, just outside the lane, and he was, asking for the ball, and I think it was Chris Paul that got him the ball, but he recognized that right away. There's been times in the past where he wouldn't really he wouldn't set up in the lane. He'd maybe set up a little bit outside for some reason or whatever, but now he's backing down in the paint, and the good thing is he can either take a shot or he's so good at seeing the whole court, obviously because he's not just because he's so tall, but he can, see who's open, who might be open. So even if he doesn't take the shot, if they happen to, send a help defender, he can, get it to the next player. Because I think on that play, if I remember correctly, he wound up tossing it out. I think it was either Castle or Champagne, and believe they hit a three. So Victor's recognizing those mismatches earlier. He's taking advantage of them a lot quicker, and that's really helping him and the Spurs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He even connected on 11 of 17 shooting, so his shot was definitely falling 65% from the field. And he also connected on 5 3-point makes, good for 56%. He took 9 3-point attempts. A couple of offensive rebounds, a steal, just was doing it all for San Antonio as you would expect from a number one overall pick generational player. So good for him. And I'm glad he was there because this team was kind of sluggish to start the game. Again, that's still bothering me. I know it's a good comeback win. I get it, Spurs fans, you love it. They didn't keel over and just die. But Raul, this is starting to bother me a little to the point now where I'm like, okay, Spurs, that's good, but don't put yourself in that position because eventually that well is going to run dry. Do you still have concerns that they're not kind of starting off the gates hot and taking it to the teams?
The fact that they're able to come back doesn't sort of alleviate some of the concern, but yeah, they definitely need to start, a little start better, so that way they're not having to make that big comeback. They're not having to put that much pressure on themselves. But at the same time, it's good for them. They're realizing what it takes to come back from those deficits. They're learning, how to play in the crunch time. So I think overall it's going to help them. But I think eventually, yes, that they need to play 48 minutes. Right now, it seems it's 24, 30 minutes that they're as far as what Pop always preaches. 48 minutes of good basketball.
Yeah, and they, and look, they won, and I understand that. We're not trying to rain the parade. It's just something to be mindful moving forward, because again, that's going to catch up to them. Eventually, them digging out of themselves a hole, is going to catch up, and you're not going to have Chris Paul, all the time on that court. You can't put yourself in that position. Harrison Barnes or Wemby's, can't play 48 minutes, although I think he wish he could, but. Yeah, overall, that's still a concern for me, but nevertheless, Victor Wembanyama, what more can you say? I mean, just stellar, doing it outside, doing it inside, passing, assists, obviously 11 assists, being that facilitator. That was one thing you were concerned about heading into the new season. Like, where's he going to grow? And he mentioned it a couple of times, just involving his teammates more. And you saw that with 11 assists. By the way, the starting lineup for the Spurs of Victor Wembanyama, Champagnie, Paul, Harrison Barnes, and Castle, they were good for a +3 in the plus-minus column. They played about 12 minutes together. They had a net rating of +12. So that seems to be something there. I'm setting something up, guys. That's what I'm doing. I'm setting something up for a discussion later on the show. Keep that in mind. You know what? We're going to let Raul now give his big takeaway. But before we do that, I want to talk to you about FanDuel. You're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Raul Dominguez of the AP Sports. Follow him on X at Dominguez5, and do that right now. He's a good follow. Good stuff. By the way, I saw your post on X. You caught Wemby yelling something at the free throw line. What was that?
Yeah, it was because I was watching that. I heard somebody scream. I thought, usually when you hear somebody scream in a Spurs game, usually it's Keldon. So I wasn't really paying too much attention to it was Sabonis was shooting a free throw. And it was after, I think, a kind of maybe a bit of a questionable call, at least on Wemby's eyes, on him. I fell on Sabonis, and so I wasn't really paying attention to who was on the, lined up on the free throw lane. So I heard the scream, so I rewound it. I was like, who was that? Was that Keldon? And then I noticed that after he hit the front of the rim, Sabonis did, and he missed it. Wemby goes in the lane, he does, that yell that he does where he'll sort of go like this. And I just kind of just cracked me up, just sort of the I've never seen somebody yell other than Keldon. Somebody yelled that loud, on a missed free throw.
It kind of looks like that. That's kind of what it looked like when he yells. That's Wemby's kind of fist pumping to the ground, screaming, yelling, all that stuff. But no, I'm glad you put that out there. See, another good reason why you should follow Raul. Get you those great little video clips again at Dominguez5. Again, we're looking back at what happened. Spurs Kings got the W. Good job, San Antonio Spurs, 127-125. And what a way to start this mini 2-game road games. They got Phoenix, I think, tomorrow. So we'll see how they fare against them. But Wemby was the obvious standout, and how he did it. And what I liked about it was him going to the paint. You have an interesting point or view. You want to talk about Vassell. What are your thoughts on Vassell? What did you think about him during the game?
Vassell's doing what he's always done. It's just that, unfortunately, he struggles at times to stay healthy. But, his whole career, he's been a shot maker. He's been a scorer. Someone that can come through with a basket. Seems like with Devin, the harder the shot it is, the easier it is for him. If you give him an open jumper, sometimes he won't hit it. Some guys like climbing all over him. He drains it, without any problem. So, he did that again. They wound up, taking Castle out. I think Castle was struggling a little bit. So they put Devin in, and Devin closed out, and he did great. I mean, he looked like old Devin. I think for Devin it's a little tougher because he didn't. I think it was the first 9 games I believe he did not play while he was recovering from that fractured toe. So I don't know as far as the conditioning wise, as far as his timing wise, he was just starting to get back into it. I think he played 4 games and then he was out again with a bruised knee. And now I think he's starting to get back the rhythm, the timing.
Oh yeah.
And the conditioning and also playing along with Victor and kind of getting that chemistry back. But tonight he wound up with 21 points on 8 for 12 shooting. He was 5 for 8 on 3-pointers, 3 assists. It looked like the old Devin, the Devin that we've seen and that people were talking about. Well, Devin's going to be Victor's running mate. And then with how well Steph's played, a lot of people say, oh, well, it's going to be Victor and Steph. But, that's a pretty good three-headed monster right there. It is. Devin, Steph, and Victor. So, Dev really impressed me. It looked like he's starting to get back to where he was before. And it also presents some interesting, situations for the Spurs as far as, I know we're going to talk about this later as far as rotations and stuff, but it's a good problem to have with all these, players playing well right now.